Hey everyone, and welcome to RUBIN'S Mind Lab, where we break down the latest research into what it really means. Ever wonder about that split-second decision you make when merging onto a busy highway? It is a moment of pure instinct and calculation, and today we're diving into how your brain handles that pressure cooker situation. Merging onto a highway is super important for traffic flow, but also surprisingly dangerous. Lots of accidents happen right there, and researchers want to figure out why, hoping to make things safer. They're looking at how our brains decide when to go and when to wait, and how our eyes play a part in that split-second choice. The big question is, how do our attention and our decisions work together when we're merging? Studies have looked at driver behavior before, but they often looked at decisions or eye movements separately. It is like trying to understand a conversation by only listening to one person or only watching their lips move. This new study wants to connect those dots, looking at what we pay attention to, how quickly we decide, and what that decision ends up being, especially when we're under pressure. To figure this out, the researchers created a clever experiment. They didn't put people in real cars on a real highway, which would be way too risky. Instead, they used videos of a car merging. Participants watched these videos and had to decide, should I merge now or wait? They pressed a button as soon as they decided. And at the same time, the researchers used special equipment to track exactly where their eyes were looking. So imagine you are watching a video of a car on a highway coming towards you in your side mirror, and you are in the merging lane. You have a limited amount of time before the merging lane ends. Do you dart out, or do you hit the brakes and wait for a bigger gap? The researchers tracked your decision to merge or not merge, how long it took you to decide, and precisely where your eyes were focused on the road ahead in the merging lane or in the side mirror checking out that approaching car. They played around with how close the car in the highway lane was, how fast it was going, and how much time you had before your merging lane ran out. One of the first big findings was about speed. Deciding to merge was much faster than deciding to wait. Think about it like this. If the gap looks good, you are probably ready to go. But if the gap is questionable, you might spend more time thinking, double-checking, and then decide to wait. It is like saying yes is quicker than saying no when there is uncertainty involved. As you'd expect, the actual situation mattered. If the car in the highway lane was far away and moving slowly, you'd be more likely to merge and probably decide faster. But if the car was close and fast and you were running out of merging lane, that added pressure definitely affected how quickly you made your choice and whether you decided to merge or not. Now, for the really mind-blowing part, they found something fascinating about where people looked, especially when time was tight. When the pressure was on, meaning the merging lane was ending soon, if participants spent more time staring at the side mirror, they were less likely to accept the gap. This is super interesting because you might think looking makes you more informed. But in this high pressure situation, looking longer at the approaching car in the side mirror seemed to make people more cautious and more likely to reject the gap. It suggests that when you are rushed, how you divide your attention between checking the approaching car and the end of your lane really shapes your decision. It is like your brain is saying, I am looking at this potentially dangerous car for a long time, so maybe it is not safe to merge. When time is plentiful, looking at the mirror might help you accept the gap because you have time to confirm it is clear. But under pressure, that sustained gaze at the danger might tip the scales towards caution. What does this all mean? Well, it tells us that decisions aren't just made in an instant, they're a process. And how we pay attention during that process, especially under pressure, is super important. This research could help build better computer models of how human drivers think, which is crucial for creating safer cars and driver assistance systems. For example, imagine a car that knows you are getting stressed while merging. It could potentially offer a subtle cue or support to help you make a better decision. Understanding how our eyes and our minds work together in these critical moments is key to making driving automation truly helpful and safe. Of course, like any study, this one has its limits. They use videos, not real driving, so participants couldn't actually accelerate or brake, which changes the real-world dynamics. Also, they didn't get any feedback if they made a bad decision. In real life, a bad merge has real consequences, which might make people more cautious than in a lab setting. And they only looked in the side mirror, not over their shoulder or in the rearview mirror. So while the patterns are insightful, we can't say they apply perfectly to every single real-world merge. The researchers themselves admit that the real world is more complicated. You can adjust your speed, other cars might react to you, and you have more places to look. But the core idea that your attention and decision-making are intertwined, especially when time is short, holds a lot of weight. They believe that the direction of these effects, how time pressure affects decisions, how looking at the mirror influences outcomes, outcomes is likely to be true in real driving. Even if the exact numbers are different, future research will build on this, perhaps using more realistic driving simulators or even real-world driving studies to confirm these findings. This research is a fantastic example of how we can take complex human behavior, like merging onto a highway, and break it down into measurable parts. By looking at eye movements and reaction times, scientists are uncovering the hidden workings of our minds in high-stakes situations. It is a step forward in making our roads safer, and that is something we can all get behind. Thanks for joining us on RUBIN'S Mind Lab. If you found this breakdown interesting, give us a like, leave a comment with your own highway merging stories or questions, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss our next dive into the fascinating world of psychology and human behavior. See you next time.